that we're minutes away from things beginning. And welcome into this space. And I'm getting coffee and things prepared for the show, so I'll be back. But we'll be here momentarily to start the show.
Can't see you at all. And you're not even paying attention. Greetings, welcome, greetings. Thank you, Kiana, for being present. Please allow the Blog Talk Radio audience to settle in. We'll be forward terribly. All is a blessing. We're going to talk more about the nature spirit and spirits on revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo secrets and recipes. All is indeed and truly a blessing if you can just see beyond the veils, for it is all just an illusion and a test and one of the greatest divine mysteries of this life cycle. I welcome the Nylan Traituer audience. Thank you for being a part of the show. Thai audience, thank you for being a part of the Utahs. We'll divert from one camera to another camera, from one space to another space. Know that we are in a sacred, shared, unified vortex of energy in this moment. Right now, in this moment, we are creating magic. We are creating ritual. We are creating voodoo right now, in this divine moment. Call your friends, call your family, call your wannabe riches, call them in. Bring your questions and your comments as we delve deeper into the true nature of spirit and spirits. All is a blessing. Allow the theme music to play and we'll move forward. Thank you, Kiana, for your help. Thank you, Marcus Art, for being present. Thank you, Kayla, Alafia, Baboni, Alafia, Aboru, Aboye, Aboshishe, Ashe. Thank you for being present. Thank you, T. Warner, Divine, all blessed greetings and salutations. Please bring your questions, your comments, your requests, your experiences as we discuss today the nature of spirit and spirits. All is a blessing. All is a blessing. Thank you. And our live listen-in and call-in number is area code 845-277-9143. Again, our live blog talk radio listen-in and call-in number is area code 845-277-9143. When you're ready with your question, comment, or request, please do press the number 1 on your telephone keypad. I'll be more than happy to open your mic and invite you in to this square circle of gods and goddesses and allow you to share your comments and your requests and your opinion live in the show. And of course, my guests who are in the YouTube live platform, do type in your questions, comments, and requests in all capital letters. Kiona will be assisting me in the chat in seeing and responding to your questions, comments, and requests in the chat. And I'll be more than happy to respond to you right here in the show.
Yes, and those who are on my Facebook Live, I am unable to see your comments today, but if you can, forgive me. And also understand that if you do leave a message or comment, I'm gonna try my best to actually reply to those after the show. Unfortunately, I'm unable to actually see your comments today. So, but thank you for your patience. Thank you for your time.
Yes, all is truly and indeed a blessing. Now, we had a great show yesterday. I'm invigorated by the participation. I'm invigorated by the questions. I'm invigorated by the thought energy that many of you shared yesterday, but also shared within the universe by sharing it within yourself. Understanding that the universe exists within you as well as the universe that we identify out here. The microcosm mirrors the macrocosm. What that means is the cosmic universe, which is the macrocosm, all things that are out here, all things that are in our space, the planetary space, universal space, is the microcosm. And we understand that consciousness exists in that realm. And we pull down streams like a download, a streaming live download of consciousness when we think, when we act as God and goddesses in our consciousness, we pull that energy down. And so the microcosm, those things that are smaller, those things that are here on the ground with us, those things that are directly a part of our everyday living, waking reality, mirror those things that exist in the macrocosm. So if God exists in the macrocosm, then he indeed, she indeed exists. It indeed exists in the macrocosm. If there's a greater force, a greater power out there, then indeed there's a greater power that exists in here. And we all have access to it. We all have the ability to tap into it. If we can just clear the clutter, just clean up the space. It's a feng shui thing. I reference feng shui a lot in my discussion, if not directly, symbolically. And if your space is cluttered, if your physical environment is cluttered, if your house is cluttered, if your office, your desk is cluttered, it is a symbolic representation of what's going on in here, what's going on in the head, what's going on in the ori, what's going on inside that microcosm. So we bring order to that space in order to also bring order to the inner space. And there are those of you who sit among me who have an immaculate space and there's nothing out of order, but you might still be experiencing chaos in here. And so then we utilize our mineral family, our crystals, minerals, gemstones, to help us to bring inner balance. Look at it as a vitamin, as a pill, as an energy drink that you don't internalize physically, but you take in energetically. You take it in at the microcosmic level, at the energetic, molecular, atomic, light level. And we reference elements. Light, fire is symbolizing light and our identification with light, not just in the physical world to bring us out of darkness, but also to illuminate the inner world, the inner person. So when I feel weak, when I'm in the struggle, when I'm in the battle, yes, I call on my prayers, I call on my mantras, I call on my deities, I perform my rituals, I do my voodoo. But really at the base level is this. So often if I'm not wearing it, I'm holding it, I'm meditating with it, I'm projecting my ideas and my energy, even if you have to use your imagination from the circular, just like your circular breathing that we did yesterday. It's a universal circle. So as you extend out energies, extend out your prayers, extend out your thoughts, extend out your concerns, extend out your worries, because some of y'all don't pray, you just worry. And those worries are prayer energy. So the negative that's in that is being sent out and being magnified and then being reflected right back to you. And so the quartz helps us to bring balance to that, to bring light to that, to be able to set up a energetic barrier against that, first from within, us setting ourselves up to be in a situation, us setting ourselves up to be at a crossroads, us setting ourselves up to have to go through battle, to go through challenge. And that's a part of our learning. That's not a judgment. That's a part of our learning. Some of us have to go to the crossroads. Some of us have to go through the battle in order to hear. It's not enough for some of us to witness, to hear what mama and papa said, to hear what the elders say, to learn and absorb the truths of someone else's experience. Some of us have to go through the crossroads. Some of us have to touch that fire to know that
He's hot.
that it's hot. That's right, and it might burn you. So think of this as that medicine, that vitamin, that nutrition that you need on the light level, on the energetic level. And then think good thoughts, my mama used to say. Think pure thoughts. Think of the reality that you want, not the reality that you perceive to be present right now. When we think of children, children dream. Children have an imagination. They can see a future, and it might be different. It might be another color. It might be a little offbeat. But that's that creative energy that one must bring to the spirit space. That's a divine gift, understand. The divinities gifted us imagination for a reason. And it is a part of your spiritual power. Thank you so much for all the participation in the chat. Thank you so much, Kiona, for helping me out there and keeping an eye on things. And please participate, bring your questions, bring your comments, bring your criticisms, bring your reads, whatever it might be, but
Bring it respectfully.
come on in.
Come on.
Come on into the room. Come on in the room. Come on, children, and come on in the room. Do I have to really do that? Every day in this space, Alafia, all is truly indeed a blessing. So we want to talk about spirit and the nature of spirit. And there's so many ways to look at spirit and identify spirit. I speak about elements, I speak about microcosms and macrocosms in order to really get people to understand that we exist and live in a multi-dimensional space.
Yeah.
It's not just what you see, it's not just what you hear, it's not just what is being said, it's not just what you're being told. It is deeper than that. And some of you are now already traversing that intra reality, that intra-dimensional space, being in the moment, but seeing and hearing beyond the moment. And within those spaces are spirits. We talked yesterday about sort of spirit attachment, an introduction, if you will. Yeah, day before yesterday, because I filmed yesterday. I lose time when I'm filming, okay, on set. Day before yesterday, we talked about spirit attachment and the idea that spirit can attach itself to almost anything physical, anything material, anything carnal. When we look at it from that magical book they call the Bible or the Quran, etc., and we think about who Satan is, what Shaitan is, and we think about him being the most beautiful angel in the heavens. We think about him being cast out, if you will, and being given to the physical realm to rule. And so anything physical, from our food desires to our material jewelry and coats and cars and fine things desire, to your desire to want to live in the best places, all those things can then be manipulated, if you will, by spirit. And so I said on Monday, was it Monday? Yeah, on Monday, that these spirits can respond to you through your prayer, through your supplication, indeed through your desperation, through your weak moments, through your distressful moments. Spirit can respond to you. Spirits with an S on it. Lowercase s on the front and the back end. Spirits can inhabit things, and they become addictions. They can become any manner of disorder. And I'm speaking slowly for a reason, because I'm playing with words, and I want you to hear these words. Disorder. Break that up. Disorder. You know, I talked about feng shui and your house being out of order, your mind and your inner world being out of order. And so that disorder begins first in the spirit realm, and then it can show up in the real world time. So when we go at begging spirit to manifest for us, calling on spirit to manifest for us, sometimes it's through your candle work, sometimes it's through your altar work, sometimes it's through your ritual work that some people are doing based on how they feel, but they may not have no real training and understanding. Understand that you are opening vortexes, you are opening doorways, you are opening portals, you are opening gateways that allow spirit to come in. Spirit, and with a capital S and no S on the end, and spirits, because there's a distinct difference. When we say spirit with a capital S, we're talking about another word for goddess, for God, for the universe, for that we anticipate motivates and writes destiny that's always in our favor, that's always in our best interest. But when we say S with a lowercase s, thank you, Supreme Divinity. I'll be coming in a moment back to the chat. Thank you, Kiona. I'll be responding to the chat. Just give me a second. But when we say spirits with the lowercase s on the front end and the back end, now we're talking about a completely different vibrational energy. And spirits, like elements, can inhabit earth, water, fire, air, and then ether, which our minds are able to go in and out of the realm of ether and or spirit. So there are grades, there are levels. So sometimes you're calling on answers. So your anticipation is that God or the goddess or the capital S spirit is going to respond to you in a clear, sound voice. And indeed, it will, and it does, but it speaks in a soft, still voice, which requires us to be still, which requires us sometimes to fast. We talked about fasting, which requires you to be meditative, which requires you to be in a position to listen. You can't be bouncing around with spirit. But spirits, to include eguns, the dead, ancestors, can also respond to you. And so you have to understand, you have to be able to discern spirit. That magical book talks about discerning spirit and know, is it of God or is it of some other origin? Let me look at my chat because I see capital letters. And thank you for your capital letters. That screams to me that there's something I should be reading and bringing into the show. Okay, thank you, Supreme Divinity, for being back and bringing your divine, all blessed Iyami divinity to be present with us. Supreme Divinity says, can you give us the importance of meditation in your spiritual work? It also, how often to meditate? That's a great question. How often? It's like asking, how often should I drink water?
Yeah.
How often should I
work out?
Bathe? How often should I work out? Yeah. Some people bathe twice a day. Some people bathe more than that, especially in the summertime. Some people bathe, God forbid, once a day or less. So it's a matter of balance, beloved. It's a matter of balance. The importance, let me read answer the first part of your question. The importance can't be overstated, because whatever your belief system, your faith system or lack thereof, your spirit path or journey, if your head is not in balance, it's not organized. In Yoruba, that's ori. It's not organized. In Haitian voodoo, Louisiana voodoo, we do lave tete, which is to clean, lave, to clean, to wash, to cleanse. Tet meaning the head. There's stories going back to Kemet, Osiris, ancient Egypt, around the head. Our head is indeed the God seat, if you will, of our physical multidimensional incarnation, being that we are both physical and spirit and divinity. So meditation probably is more important than anything. I think it is under demonstrated. It is under taught. It has not been given the platform in the West that it should because of Christianity. And so people don't think about the importance of meditation. We get premonitions, we get thoughts, we get memories of the past that we must organize and reorganize in our heads and in our spirits and our consciousness. All of that is indeed a part of your meditative space. And in the best case scenario, thank you for the light, beloved. And we now have light.
Let there be light.
And let there be light. In the best case scenario, you would want to thoughtfully awaken and lay down and go to sleep every day thoughtfully. And when I say thoughtfully, I'm talking about your question about meditation. And then as I talk about it, I'm going to add in, napping or meditating during the day and other scenarios. But first, we're going to start with when I lay down and when I wake up in the morning. So in the best case scenario, because I know some of you all have children and spouses and pets and responsibilities, but in the best case scenario, you want to go to bed at a consistent time. It don't have to be the same time, but a consistent time, 9 to 10, 10 to 11, 11 to 1, but consistently, and allow yourself that time to first lay down, breathe, and close your eyes, and then think about nothing at first. And that'll be difficult, especially for the new meditator. That'll be difficult. So you want to keep a journal, a notepad, a device that you can write on next to your bed, that you can document on next to your bed, so that when the bills come up, when you remember all of a sudden you got an appointment, you can breathe, stop, note what's going on, and then breathe and go back into your meditation. The noting tells your left brain, which is the active, masculine, rational, over-reasoning guardian of the gate. It tells that part of your consciousness that I acknowledge the importance of this thought. I've noted it. It's now been given a time of priority separate from this moment in time space, and then go back into your meditation. Now, as you do this over time, and even as you get older and continue to do it, you won't have to note as often. But once you've gotten past that, now you want to do what I call creative meditation. So you want to think about, and this is pre-planned before you start out the meditation. You want to choose some destination, some goal. So it might be leaving your body and going into space. It might be shrinking your body and going into your body, sort of like the movie, and traveling around. It might be memorizing the complete layout of your house, but then being able to do it with your eyes closed in your third eye, and then have your spirit travel from location to location in your house. Over time, this will sharpen your third eye. Over time, this will give you a greater ability to go in and out of creative space. So meditation can't be overstated. In any indigenous world culture, Asia, Africa, the indigenous Americas, etc., there's going to be something that's not always documented by the archaeologists in this book, but there's always going to be something that requires focus, attention, sitting still long enough to feel something, to see something, to perceive something, to go through the experience of that past or future event and feel it out in its totality without leaving your chair, without leaving your space. And it trains your third eye and your spirit mind and your spirit body how to gain mobility in the spirit realm. It also empowers your prayer life. It also empowers your thought life. I have literally said, I have to have something. It is important. It's got to come. Yeah. It's already late. Yeah. Just to have it show up 5 minutes later, an hour later, yeah. Just to have it knock on my door. So I can't stress to you as a kid, yeah. Who grew up on the street, as a teenage runaway, who had no support, who had no family, who had no God to call on, other than the God of my understanding, which was voodoo.
I got a question for you concerning that. I know a lot of you probably nowadays, the younger generation that's in spirituality. I feel like we see things come to us. A lot of us, let me know if I'm wrong or not, but I feel like the conversation that I get with a lot of my fellow people that's around my age that's in spirituality, they talk about numbers. They talk about, oh, I just seen this number, or I seen this come at me, or I keep seeing this reoccurring in my life. And those are can you speak to that concerning that? In my mind, I'm asking that question because I'm like, is that a manifestation of spirit through those numbers? That's
90 seconds.
Could be your ancestors speaking to you, talking to you in that time, in that moment, to tell you stop or pay attention. Like you're not focusing in on spirit. But these are numerically coming up to you, or in passing, or people that's come and talk to you, or whatever the situation is. I feel like that is something
that's an extension,
way of spirit speaking.
Yeah, that's an extension to some degree of Supreme Divinity's question about meditation, because once you have absorbed and taken in meditation, prayer, it's really now a part of you. So even when you're not in your sacred space, even when you're not in your prayer room, even if you're not in your magic closet, you're at work, you're in transit, you're public transportation, you're in the stream of life, you can't stop now and say and get in the lotus position, the Indian style position, and do your thing. So now it has to be something that's already in you.
Of course,
it's got to be something that you're already demonstrating and doing. And so you then have to be meditative, even when you're standing in line at the grocery store. You then got to be able to breathe and transition into that same vibration with less tools, without your incense going, without your sacred music in your background, because you're in traffic. You're in the traffic literally or figuratively. You're in line at the Walmart literally or figuratively. And so now you got to pull out all that stuff. So when the numbers come to you, when we call that, what you keep referencing, synchronicity. Things that happen, that speak, numbers that repeat, people that show up, I think about you, and then you call, that sort of thing. You're really talking about synchronicity. And synchronicity is an interdimensional thing. Because if you're not conscious of it, you're not paying attention to it, then you're not seeing those numbers anyway.
Of course.
And
yeah.
people aren't making sense of the relative importance of that sequencing and why you keep seeing 1111, why you keep seeing, the number 3. So you then have to be able to, I guess another way, Supreme Divinity, of looking at meditation is third eye consciousness. You have to really be able to see the physical, but also be able to separate yourself from that moment and think about it in a spiritual way. What's really being said? What am I really seeing? What message is really being presented? That's a thought process that's meditative,
Yeah.
that requires you being meditative.
Yeah.
So, Nylan, when you're seeing and experiencing that, again, it's just asking, the spirits are asking you to pay attention and take notes. I can't stress enough the importance of taking notes. Please journal, take notes, document. Some of you are having real premonitions, real visions, but there's no documentation of it. There's no notation of it. And do it right, document it, seal it up in an envelope, mail it to yourself. Put it in an email that's going to have a timestamp on it that approved that it was said, documented before the occurrence, before the event. And many of you will begin to see spirit and ancestors and spirits speaking through you. In the Western culture, we have the devil on one shoulder, the angel on the other. That is a relative truth. That's a relative truth, because all of us are constantly in communication, not just with this one angel, this one cherub, but many who speak many things to you. You're in the environment and the money is laid out on the table and nobody's watching. Everyone has that moment. Do I pick it up? Do I look for the owner? Do I report it to the lost and found? You're right now at the crossroads with spirits. And some of those good spirits are going to say, you should do A, B, and C because that's the right thing to do. But then those demons and those jinn are going to say, do what you feel, do what you want to, ignore the rules, ignore the protocol. So ain't nobody sanctified in this audience. Everybody is at the crossroads with good and evil every single day. And it's a choice to be made to be light. It's a choice to be made to be earth. It's a choice to be made to be fire at any given time, to be water. Water is powerful. You all overestimate the power of water. Water can wither away, chip away a mountain. Water can penetrate stone.
Look at Grand Canyon.
Yeah, the Grand Canyon. It's a great example. So meditation and meditation on elements, beloved Supreme Divinity. I said, laying down at night, you might travel in space. You might travel in your body. You might travel and experience elements. I am a crystal. I am this crystal. I see what this crystal is. Six sides. Okay. And then it has, this particular crystal has 3 windows at the top. 3 is an offensive leadership number. It's a projective number. Okay. And it has this channeling window here, which draws down angelic spirit forces to communicate in it. But physically, you want to map what's going on, what's inside, and then close your eyes again and carry that into your meditation. I am crystal. I am this crystal. And what does the crystal feel like? How do you feel inside the crystal? That's another imagination thing. How do you feel inside the crystal? How do you feel holding the crystal? How do you feel when you expand the crystal? How do you feel when you send light and energy through the crystal? In the beginning, these are mind games. Consciousness games, using your imagination. Over time, imagination will slip away to spirit based on what you can handle. Now, if you're scared, that can interrupt your meditation because now you're questioning, what am I hearing? Who is this coming from? What is, and that's good to question. Question that. I want you to question spirit.
Don't fear it.
But don't fear it. If it's going to now cause you fear,
don't fear it.
You know, then that's going to interrupt your energy.
Yeah.
That'll cause your body computer to short circuit your connection between you and the tool that you're using, and the spirit realm will be limited.
Yeah.
People with limited imagination, with limited room for belief,
limited results.
Yeah, with limited room for ideas that they may not know, may not think about. Your connection sometimes to spirit is limited. You see things less. Now there's always that story of the police officer, the military person, the government person, who now has the alien encounter, who now wants to share that, and we trust them because they're military, because they're government, because they're
president of the United States.
Representing these roles that we consider rational, masculine, full of integrity, not a whole lot of imagination. And then we accept that, because I listen to Coast to Coast AM at night a lot. We accept that truth. But the person who's dreamy, who's creative, who spends more time in space and in air, we question them.
Yeah.
We feel some sense of suspicion around them.
Yeah.
But it is those creators who create everything that we have. Everything that we have. Your clothes, your computer, your house. Somebody had to imagine it. Somebody had to create it. Yeah. And write it down, draw it out, map it out, take it out of the realm of meditation, supreme deity, take it out of the realm of creative space, and then bring it into real world consciousness, real world manifestation. I mean, anything that you can imagine in your mind is already real. Whether you can see it right in front of you or not, if you can see it in your mind, if you can visualize it in your mind, if you can bring it together in your mind, it's already real somewhere in another dimensional space. The trick is what we believe the most, what we see the most, what we understand the most is typically our waking reality. That's what we see or understand. So if you don't expect to see a miracle, if you don't expect to see a blessing, if you don't expect to see angels, you might not. It might not be visible to you in the moment. Just like that guy who runs in and robs a bank and runs out, and 12 of you have at least 10 different descriptions of what he might look like. In that moment, we're intersecting a crossroads of consciousness, So meditation, beloved supreme divinity, helps us to center ourselves even in the midst of traffic, even in the midst of work, even in the stream of life, to be able to stay grounded in reality, but to perceive and pull in what spirit would indeed have for us. I dropped my mic again. Not my mic, my mouse. Supreme Deity, I don't see you, so I hope you're still here with us. I pray I've answered your question. If you need a follow-up, just hit me back. Kiona says, all fact, if one more person requests a love spell and the person doesn't want them, I'm going to scream. Wrong spirit will answer. Yes, beloved. I hear you. I will say, at least in my practice, the whole love spell thing has I don't know, 5%. It has really decreased. I'm dealing now with people who want real change, real world manifestation. They're just tired. They're tired of spending money. They're tired of being broke and still having to spend money. They're tired of this spell, that spell, this church, that mosque, this synagogue, and not getting result. And you've heard me say for years, I'm a result-oriented practitioner. This is a result-oriented house. This is a result-oriented voodoo ministry. This is a result-oriented carnival, black carnival maroon tribe, result-oriented. And so many of the people that are sending me requests today are dealing with real stuff. And it might be love and relationships, but it might be health, wellness, finances, communication, bitterness, anger, separation, divorce, just major things. The law, the judicial system. Oh my God, health and abortions and childbirths and drama, mama and baby drama and daddy baby drama, and just, I mean, real stuff. Many of you would just break. Your heart would just break. Your mind would just break. Just understanding the crossroads. So I will say, since the Yahoo 360 days, I'm not seeing a whole lot of that. For me, in this house, that's typically a much younger generation, teens, preteens, adolescents, and then immature people in their 20s might still be looking at the love spell thing, sort of in that way. But I am seeing growth. I have to say, I have to give credit to not just my audience, but the spirit audience of today has really evolved since the 90s. So I'm seeing less of the foolishness, Kiona, and I'm seeing more serious requests. People want to initiate. People really want to understand the inner dynamics of these systems. So
Like myself.
I accept the relative truth of your statement, but beloved, it is evolving. It is evolving. Marcus Art, what is a good mantra prayer to chant to help center my thoughts? I would first, Marcus, start in the elemental realm. So I would write a mantra. Don't necessarily do exactly what I say, unless it fits for you, unless it works for you. You can always write a mantra and personalize it. You never want to use negative words. You never want to use words that suggest, I hope, I pray, I wish. Again, you want to write things as though they are, call things as though they were. So I would first start with, I am light. I am light. I am light. I am light. And I want you to say it first, just like that, for as long as possible. If you can do it 15 minutes, please. I want you all, not just Marcus, but those who are listening, to understand that I played with the words. You might hear just 3 words, but more than 3 words are being said.
Yeah.
In English, we say I am. I am the Divine Prince. I am Ty.
I am Nylan.
We say I am, and we personalize something. But then when we read these great magical books, because I don't call them the Word of God, or
Thank you for using
they
Blog
magic
Talk
books.
Radio. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Talk Radio. Thank you, Talk Radio audience. I'll see you again on the next episode. But when I read these books, they're magical books. So even in the magical books market, Marcus, I am means God, or the goddess, or the greater divinity, the greater universe. So when I play around with the words and always breathe, breathing is more important than anything. always, even if you're in the middle of painting, and even if you're in the middle of being with your children, even if you're in the middle of activity, always remember to breathe. Even therapists will tell you we underbreathe or we breathe shallowly. We don't spend enough time in and expand your lungs. Many of us don't expand our lungs unless you're a singer, a trumpet player, an athlete, where you're sort of forced to learn to breathe. But that's important in meditation, it's important in spirit. It's really important in the function of our body and our minds. So as you breathe, I am.
There's real power in that. I mean, Moses, the Bible talks about Moses going to the mountain, God saying, he asks, who are you? To the burning bush. I am that I am. That's what was spoken to him. I am that I am. You are whatever you say you are.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's what you have to focus on too, in terms of sitting in your thoughts. If you're hearing anything from outside of your mind that people are saying who you are, you are whoever you say you are, and getting to know yourself will make that even more clearer for you. So,
and who you say you are, sends out a vibration, sends out a beacon to the creative universe that has to come back to you. But it's deeper than who you say. It's who you believe. Because I can say I am king of America. I can say I am the president of the nation. But if that's not true, and not true on any level interdimensionally,
there's no power.
Then there's no power in it. So I want you to say I am, and then think about light. And there's many ways to envision light. You can first envision the light from a pinhole expanding from in your consciousness, in your body, within your God domain, and then outward through your family, through your house, through all your activities, through all your creative endeavors, from in and out. You can also use your imagination, your third eye, as you say, I am light, and envision light coming from the moon, doing your full moon meditation, or envision light coming from the sun. I know you're in Chicago, when it's warm and you're out or you're on your bike, you can consciously receive the rays of light into your consciousness, into your body. You can receive light from divinity. You can receive light from cosmos. Yeah. So that is just, using your imagination to tweak whatever your given endeavor is. You could even close your eyes, Marcus, and imagine a canvas, which you would be really good at because you work with canvas every day. A blank canvas, and then say and chant your mantra, I am light, I am light, and allow your spirit to design, to draw, to paint, to manifest on the canvas. Manifest answers, manifest not just art, manifest answers, manifest clarity, manifest, instruction, manifest messages and energies from your ancestors or from the spirit realm. So I would start with I am light. I am light. Another very controversial mantra would be I am God. I am Goddess. I am God. I am. I am. I am. And allow that energy to pervade you. Yeah, and circle and pervade all the creation and come back to you. If you need more from me, Marcus, just respond. I see you, Kiona. Thank you so much, beloved. Numbers are absolutely real and have meaning. Yes, absolutely. Also, Marcus, in terms of centering your thoughts, you want to work with quartz crystal. I think I mailed you a crystal some time back. And if you now need something different, get another piece. This is clear quartz, double terminated, meaning it has termination, a natural termination on both ends. Termination is another word for point. It terminates in a point. This one has been polished. This is unpolished. Look at the surface. I'm talking about the surface right here where the light bounces off the crystal, where you can see those lines and those grooves. That's natural. That's unpolished. This, by the way, is a Herkimer diamond. It's also natural and unpolished, but in all of the mineral kingdom, it manifests smooth sides, just like this, as if it has been polished. And polished stones, even the Herkimer, are great for working with what's inside the stone. The mist, I call that the mist. The mist is the same in my teaching as what's in your consciousness. When you close your eyes and you go into the darkness and you go into the creative space, you're in the mist, M-I-S-T, the mist, where there's a mixture of all elements, moisture, nutrients, minerals.
Essence of life.
Yeah, the essence of life. And these things rain down on us from the sky every minute of the day too, whether you realize it or not. Micro diamonds and nano diamonds and minerals from other places. That's how all of the minerals and even the water arrived on the planet, was from outer space. So again, in terms of centering, just sit, find time, find space. And if you're being woken up, Marcus, at all hours of the night, 2, 3, by spirit, get you a good stone, one that either you can hold in your hands, one that you can carry. You know, I'm working on pouches right now. I'm actually working on three separate pouches. This has a small double terminated stone in it. This has a single terminated chlorite and hematite phantom in it. This one has a double terminated twin. So that means it's 2 of these that have fused together in the growing process in it. And of course, I'm going to make a strap on it long enough, to go around my neck. But if you can crochet or knit or have access to somebody who can, have them, create a bag that your stone can be in conveniently when you can't hold it, when you are painting, when you are in the activities of life. But when you have those moments, that 15 minutes of when you lay down, beloved Supreme Divinity, you want to then have it in your hands or have it on your chest or have it on your third eye, and then activate your mantra. Activate your mantra. And for centering, Marcus, you could also carry hematite stones in your pocket. You don't have to move. Hematite stones in your pocket. Go ahead.
This is apatite. I carry apatite in my pocket right now. So apatite mixed with green, blue, and pink. It's a prosperity stone.
I carry eniolite. Eniolite is a convergence of 3 or 4 different minerals. The most notable is those large pink rubies. Those are real rubies, but they're embedded in other materials, and this is called eniolite. And it's prosperity. It reminds me of that prosperity that I need, want, desire is coming in this moment. The love that I need, want, and desire is coming in this moment. The health that I need, want, and desire is coming right now in this divine moment in time space. So working with clear quartz, but then also using more denser grounding stones in your pocket could also, or even around your creative space, can also help to give you a sense of centering. And of course, you can always call me. You and I have a very special, unique relationship. Just call me, Marcus. Just call me. Give me the next question, Kiona. Help me. I don't want to be out of order. You have
The moon ritual. I think
where?
him downstairs. How do you
What
incorporate
about?
astrology with voodoo and moon rituals?
Okay, him downstairs. Thank you. How do I incorporate astrology with voodoo and moon ritual? That was very good, by the way. Um, First, you have to be in relationship with all three, including spirit. So you have to be in relationship with voodoo. You have to be in relationship with astrology. You have to be in relationship with the moon. So you need to know the cycles of the moon, not just the full moon, every aspect of the moon. What role does it really play in your life, in your chart? Now I'm talking about astrology. Get a real astrology chart, which you can have that done online now, in some cases for free. But you got to know the time, the place that you were born in order to get the most accurate astrology chart. And then understand that chart. What do the planets mean in their positions in your chart? How does more than just the sun sign, but your moon signs and all the other signs and the 12 houses, how do these planets show up in my life, show up in my path, show up in my work? That's what I mean when I say be in relationship with the astrology. And then be in relationship with the voodoo. What deities are you working with and why? And when and how do they stand up in the calendar? There are birthdays for some of these deities. There are ritual days for some of these deities. Uh, we celebrate voodoo traditionally in January, in the voodoo worldwide. Honan Dagbo II led and performed Voodoo Festival 2020 just last month in January in Togo, Benin, Ghana, and Nigeria. So you have to be in relationship with the voodoo, and how and when is it appropriate to work a particular deity, and then some deities are to be worked in the day, some deities are to be worked at night. So that understanding, him downstairs, would absolutely have to be present and then be worked in concert in an authentic way. Um, Implied in the question is the idea that it can be done at all, and it absolutely can, and it absolutely is. When you look at Ifa, when you look at voodoo, from a West African perspective, they absolutely are in tune with the calendar. They're absolutely in tune with astrology. They're absolutely in tune with the moon. The 4-day ritual cycle in which we work from is a manifestation of moon activity,
Yeah.
of moon movement.
Yeah.
So you have to be in relationship with them all authentically. You have to be keeping a calendar. You would have to be keeping a journal. And then when you set out to move into the ceremony, the ritual, there has to be a unified understanding among the group as to what's being performed, what's being invited in, and what's being manifest. If I need to elaborate more, hit me back with that. I really appreciate your activity and your questions. Thank you, Supreme Divinity. All is a blessing. Kayla asks, is it dangerous accessing third eye via natural hallucinogens like THC, like herbs? Ooh, that's a great,
Yeah, that's a good question.
that's a great question. I have friends, Black, white, Native American, they're on the peyote train, they're on the ayahuasca
Ayahuasca.
train, they have money, they have resources. to travel often to these locations, both in the U.S. and in South America, and sort of have these experiences. I believe that just like minerals, just like our food, there is indeed a medicine present in nature, but also a poison present in nature. And so all things in balance. I don't believe everyone requires ayahuasca. I don't believe everyone requires THC. I don't believe THC affects everyone in the same. So I'm not one of those people, who smokes weed, who thinks weed is for everybody. I don't think weed is for everybody. I support legal weed. I support weed being available. CBD. I support ayahuasca and peyote and some other products, being a little bit more available.
Mushrooms.
Yeah, to spiritual people who know how to.
With the mind prepared for it. I can tell you, I would just say I've experienced it before. And I would say that throughout the years of my research in spirituality, if it wasn't for that and that understanding, and even specifically what you were speaking of, like meditation and preparation in terms of before you get into those paths, because those are paths in terms of whatever you're doing. If it's plants, if it's medicine, you have to understand those in some type of way. Then you have to also be able to bring into that, just like you were talking about with the numbers. I feel when you run into numbers, you run into these situations where you can take these or have these opportunities. You have to bring that also to the surface with you in those moments while you're in those actual experiences. So if you don't have that prior to them, it could be chaotic. It could be mind blowing. I mean, in a negative way, not so much a positive way. If you don't have those,
it can alter your mental health.
Yeah.
And that's why, let's look at more common things like THC, like opioids, like heroin, like cocaine. Any of these narcotics can be used in the appropriate environment for healing, for health, for wellness. We all know that doctors use cocaine every day. If you've been to the dentist, you've had cocaine. They injected you with Novocaine. Novocaine. It's cane that has now been synthesized in a lab. They take these plants, they learn how to then copy it, mimic it, synthesize it, turn it into a drug product. That's how our drugs are created. So your Novocaine, your topical cane products, for exterior pain, I was losing my point. All of those things open us up at the third eye level. So when the crackhead, the cocaine tutor, the person who's smoking a little bit too much weed, whose body might not be able to handle it. Because if you're smoking weed, smoking blunt, smoking weed, smoking blunt, smoking weed, but you're not eating fruits and vegetables, you're not drinking water, you're not doing the other things to be in balance, then again, you open your third eye, but then you might be seeing foolishness. You might be seeing cloudy. Might not be able to respond in the moment. Going back to Supreme Divinity's question about meditation, the goal is similar to being active in a dream state. That's called lucid dreaming. The goal is being lucid while you're smoking the weed. See, Nylan and I can hit the blunt and talk about the Bible for an hour, talk about outer space for an hour, talk about real spiritual stuff and move ideas around and move prayers and powers around and elevate energy. When I lived in California back in the 80s, late 80s, going into the 90s, I had a circle of friends in Pasadena. We didn't smoke herb without chanting. You weren't allowed to hit the blunt without chanting. You weren't allowed to hit the joint without chanting. Chanting, all is a blessing. All is a blessing. Give thanks. Give thanks. I know Rastas that do that till this day.
Yeah.
They don't just hit the herb because it's a healing It's a meditation. It's a ministering. It's an opportunity for spirit to minister. So they say, give thanks. Give thanks. That's another mantra. Give thanks. Be grateful. I am. See, be suggests something to be. I am grateful. I am. So, I've never done ayahuasca or peyote or I've never done anything beyond THC, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm not adverse to it in the right setting, in the right environment. I also look at the documentaries and a few books that I have read on it. What material those people are now bringing back. I'm not getting a lot. I hear that, oh, it was life changing and I saw this and I experienced that. But there's very few people that I'm hearing that are, bringing back something now that they can use every day and then the people around them. So I have mixed feelings about it, but I'm open to it. I'm not averse to it. But I myself can access dream state, dimensional state, trance state, possession state without anything, really. And I smoke herb for my health, for my diabetes and my health condition and my overall well-being. For my Asperger's, I smoke herb for my Asperger's. I wouldn't, as a spiritual person, as open as I am at the third eye, be able to function. It's just too much going on in my body, in my life, in my environment. I would be hot. I would be petrol. I would be high and off the ground, in the air, 24 hours a day, and that's kind of scary for me. So I have to be mellowed and in the middle, as India Ari saying. Let's get back to the middle. So it's about being in the middle. It's about toning down the outside noises, the inner voices, the regular quote unquote important reality that we focus on, but then allowing the spirit side to open up more and have more levity without losing yourself. Some people lose their mind experimenting with various drugs. I mean, you see people talking to themselves and talking to other spirits and disembodied folk, and because you never know who these people are really talking to, who and what they're really seeing and experiencing. I spend enough time on the street to know that that's very real. There's no such thing as, oh, they crazy and they just talking to themselves. No such thing. They talking to something. You just can't see it. You're just not in that consciousness to see,
to be aware.
To be aware of what's going on. So I'd be careful with the aids, other than maybe THC. And I don't suggest THC for people who are young. Heaven forbid somebody 15, 16 is watching the show and thinks that I'm saying that that's okay. Your brain, your frontal cortex, especially for boys, is still developing well into your 20s. So I don't suggest young people making a habit of, hitting the herb often. But 30s and 40s and 50 somethings, there's a way to bring herbal medicine into your routine for healing properties, wellness properties, spirit properties. So I like that question, Kayla. I appreciate you. Supreme Divinity is asking, can I explain the importance of animal sacrifice in NOLA Voodoo? And not just NOLA Voodoo, in Voodoo, period. It's about blood. This, YouTube might have problems with this video. They might prevent certain countries and certain demographics from even viewing this video with these topics. It's about life and life force, and the belief that the life force exists in this elixir of water and nutrients and DNA that we call blood. When we look back to a more indigenous time, when people kept their chickens and their turkeys, in the yard, pigs, cows in the yard, the whole chickens, the whole idea of animals in relationship to animals is different. It's different. This is not the random killing of animals, sacrificing of animals in voodoo, Ifa, Akan. This is about careful, conscious utilization of nature, much like we do for food, much like we do for nutrition. Now, I don't want to gross anybody out and go into how your bacon got there, how your turkey got to your house, how your hamburger got to your plate. You'd be mortified if you knew how they kept the animals, if you knew how these animals were treated, if you knew how these thousands of animals a day are being slaughtered in these slaughterhouses in Chicago and Philadelphia and in your town, my town. You might be vegetarian, you might be vegan after that discussion. There's no relationship between the two in indigenous culture and the practice of sacrifice. The meat is not wasted. The bones are not wasted. The blood is not wasted. No more than if you cooked a whole pig for your family event. Nothing is being wasted. The idea is about not exploiting nature, not abusing nature. But the practice is very real. The practice is indeed very, very alive, even in NOLA, as you slipped in at the last part of your question. A lot of people aren't doing ritual and ceremony for show. A lot of people aren't doing ritual and ceremony for Instagram ratings. So when you see that in Instagram, I would question who it is, what else is on that profile, and what else is posted. Because you're seeing now the fake Instagram profiles in my name, other people's names, with less than 12 pictures on it. And one is going to be the bloody goat, the bloody chicken, hands, manipulating palm nuts, anything to prevent you from locking in on the true identity of the person operating that Instagram post. So feel that that's not real. We don't sacrifice for camera. We don't sacrifice for show. We might do it in a movie. We imitated it in American Horror Story. When Adelia went to Marie Laveau to get pregnant, that was me. That was us. That was New Orleans. And we had a goat. But that was entertainment. That was storytelling, if you will. So, no, you don't see us ringing goats, ringing chickens' necks, and putting that, there's too much negative energy attached to it. There is PETA. There are the people who are sensitive to that. So not that we care more about your feelings than our ritual. We care more about the sanctity of our ritual than proving that that's happening here. But it's happening. It's happening. It's real. It's a part of the authentic practice of voodoo. I have a chicken, a permanent rooster chicken. The male chicken is a rooster. Okay, I have a rooster. A ritual rooster, Ebo rooster. So no, it's not sacrificed. It's very much alive. You can't catch it. He won't let anybody fuck with it except the Nylan and myself and the cat lady next door. But he has a ritual purpose. So animals, nature, minerals, it all has its place in this practice. Just like in the West, you eat and consume for life. We eat and consume for life. And when we eat, they eat. When we drink, they drink. when we live, they live, and therefore sacrifice and Ebo is still a major part of West African and I would dare say global religious tradition. Because you Christians under the sound of my voice are eating a dead body, a corpse, and drinking blood on the fifth Sunday or the first Sunday or whenever y'all having communion. You cannibals. You cannibals. What you mean? What do you mean? You cannibals. You're eating the body and drinking the blood. You cannibals. So, like the Old Testament, Rasta say, you know, Ital, goat, chicken, lamb. That's all. All the other stuff that's attached to sacrifice is about Western protocols and sensibilities and political correctness and horror movies that's giving people, you know, the idea that voodoo is somehow wicked. You know, that's a whole nother conversation. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Supreme Divinity. You're keeping the show rolling, and I appreciate your questions and your comments. Thank you, Marcus, for taking the time out to be present. Call me, bruh. Just call me. Why are you tripping? Just call me. Any more questions? Let's see. Unikite. Him downstairs. Are you talking about the Eneolite? Yeah, this is Eneolite. This is called Eneolite. It does have some Unikite-like properties, yeah. It does.
Which is an app. You only can get that from there.
Okay, Marcus is asking, I need something new. Come on now, my questions are scrolling up on me. Wait a minute, where did it go? Oh my goodness. Okay. I need something new because praying to Santa Muerte keeps me in constant danger, but the results are instant. Oh wow, I had no idea you were even doing that. Yeah, you need to call me because first of all, Santa Muerte, you're talking about the spirit of death, which is another reason why I'm asking you to call me because I don't know what you're trying to do exactly.
That's Marcus.
Yeah, Marcus art. I don't know what you're trying to do exactly. So get with me about that. And are you doing that in concert with your ancestors? I need more detail about what you're doing. And just because of how I feel about what you might be talking about or doing, just call me. We'll discuss that. Yeah, because Santa Marta is also a deity that Hispanic drug lords utilize to protect you from death, but also to call death. Santa Marta can call it and project it. She can protect you from death, but she can call it to you. She can protect who you infer the power on, your children. She can protect them, but she also has that underside that's a little dark. So I need more details really about what you're doing and what your expectations are. I believe if I'm in proper order, him downstairs. Very glad that Marcus said that. He's asking, what's the deal, good or bad, with mixing spiritualism systems? I know you people ask all the time, but please suggest a book. I know people ask me that. Yeah, people ask me that all the time. And technically, there is no book because the authors are either prophetizing their particular path or belief system, or are like Gonzalez Whippler in Santeria Experience. That's a good book, Santeria Experience. Are just sharing their experience coming into the religion. I like Santeria Experience because of its age. It's an older book. In terms of Ifa, Santeria, all of this is new to the States, relatively speaking. Wasn't a whole bunch of people talking about Ifa and Santeria and Voodoo in the 40s. in the 50s. So this is new for the United States. So books written in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s as it relates to this, I like it. Before all the extra popular culture commercialism, before the internet, before all the bullshit came into this, before the Aretha romance came into this. So she talks about her experience as a child coming into the tradition, and she's explaining Santeria from I believe she's Cuban or Puerto Rican. She might be Puerto Rican. From that experience. But it's Ifa, but it's Lukumi from that experience. And so there are many books like that, Voodoo, Yoruba, that one can acquire. Now, even with the Yoruba books, most of the ones that are most commonly available on the market are written by Americans or people in the UK. Many of the books that are from Nigeria, for instance, from Osogbo, for instance, aren't on the wide market. You either have to be a part of that house, a part of that family, a part of that tradition. Ella Baboon has put out several books from Osogbo that you just can't go in the store and find. You have to get it from Nifas that are a part of his house, Babalaos that are part of his house. So much of the context that you all are looking for, you absolutely have to get through the gates of people like me to have access to. And I know because of the pop cultural attitude towards initiation and joining something and be a part of something, that's a struggle. But I have books here that you can't buy in the store. You can't get online. You can't get, you can get them online, but then you have to know the right people. Beloved Sable, she has access to books from Ella Baboon. But if you don't know her and you aren't in communication with her or any of his wives and community who are internet savvy, you don't have access to those books. So building relationship is critical, beloved. It's critical. This has got to close. Where am I at? Yeah, it's critical. Him downstairs, and having a mentor, having a teacher, someone you can really trust, build relationship. Because trust comes from building relationship. You can't send somebody $5,000, online that you ain't never, did any homework on, and say you build a relationship with that person and then expect the results to be what you desire. So there aren't really. There are books that complain, there are books that say what it isn't, what it should be. And again, people expressing their opinions about spiritualism in the practice. I also think spiritualism is relevant in a world, in an environment where people don't have a practice, where people don't have a tradition, where people are seeking, they didn't have the family demonstration, the community demonstration, and they are seeking. So spiritualism grew out of that, grew out of the presence now of botanicas, spiritual stores, religious shops where you can go in and buy stuff. So there aren't really books specific enough, I believe, to address your question just as you ask it. You would have to read many books, as I have done over the years, to begin to see the difference, to begin to see who's giving you meat and who's giving you little appetizers.
And how it's coming to you and how you should take it.
Yeah.
You should look at things from outside of the perspective of being in it, because you looked at something else and looking back at that with the inside of, okay, this is what this actually means. So it takes a well-rounded, it's not just one book, as you probably know, I think.
Yeah, when I first read Santeria Experience, first of all, she made me feel like I was in the practice, because that's how she wrote. But then as I grew, because I think I read that book in 84, 85, somewhere around that. I left home in that same time period. So now I'm initiating, and I'm working with elders, teachers, Ianifas, Babalaos, Obias, Bokur Nun, And they're now exposing what's authentic. I realized she didn't really say a whole lot in the book. She shared her thought, her feeling, her experience, but she didn't give you none of the secrets in that book. I felt the same way when I read the Voodoo Bible, Louisa Tesh book. And I still use her book a lot, teach from her book a lot, reference her book a lot. But she's not giving you no secrets. And anyone who's legitimately, authentically operating in the path is not going to violate secrets. It's not going to violate tradition. It's not going to violate the mysteries that are required through access, through initiation. So people, not you, beloved, but people in general, when I'm looking like this, I'm pointing to my chat. So I should be pointing like this. I'm not talking about you, but people will seek that information, read those books, talk to people, trying to gain a better understanding of what that looks like. And you're still trying to formulate an understanding of what something looks like without actually being a part of it. Even Masons, Shriners, Eastern Stars, very mysterious, very secretive. And there are books, there are a ton of books that talk about the symbolism and what they do and what it looked like. You are still not getting it.
No.
You still can't put it together without active participation. I can read every chemistry book in the library. Every chemistry book in the library. That don't make me a qualified chemist. It could get me in trouble with the law and with the government. You know, people trying to create bombs and, you know, crazy technology with no degreed experience, with no hands-on experience. So, oh man, him downstairs. That question is hard. Read my Google bookshelf. Read my Shelfari. Some of y'all might not know about Shelfari. Hold on. Give me a second to pull it up. Shelfari is a social media site. Yeah, it's shelf, like a bookshelf, SHLFARI.com/DivinePrince, like one word. And you'll have access to my Shelfari bookshelf. And it's a place where you can load your books. There's another common site, I can't think of it right now, that you can upload books to. I get emails for it almost every day. People asking questions about books, books that you have in common. For me, follow me in some of those sites. You too can send me a private message by way of email, you know, and I'll hook you up, give you more detailed information. Oh, it's called Goodreads.
Yeah.
Shelfari has been renamed Goodreads. So Shelfari was my old URL to get into Goodreads. So I'm not sure that that URL that I just blurted out actually works anymore. Give me a second to find out. Give me a second. I'm no longer on radio, so YouTube viewers, just be patient.
Facebook Live.
Facebook Live, just be patient. That's Facebook Live? I didn't know that. Hey, Facebook Live. Hey, Joshua's mommy. You know I love you. Yeah, please read my mama's books. I asked you to read my mama's books because I feel like if you read my mama's books, you'll better know me. So please, read my mama's books. I love Joshua's mommy. Nylan's mommy.
Joshua Nylan Tanner. That's if it's confusing to you guys, I apologize for that. But my real name is Joshua Nylan Tanner, and I go by Nylan the Traituer, now Traituer, which we will explain a little bit more about that in the future. But it's a French title for a healer that French healers in this area of New Orleans, Louisiana, that has been here since the French has been here, from France to here, settled here, Creole culture and Native American culture, Homo Indian culture, which is amalgamation of many different tribes, of Native American tribes. So we will go more into that in the future. But today we're just talking about spirituality. We're talking about the topic, and I think Miss Divine Prince has the is that is the URL the same? Yeah, the URL is actually different than the URL that he actually.
The Shelfie URL that I gave you no longer works. So the site is now Goodreads, and many of you, particularly in this audience of erudite individuals, many of you are already on Goodreads. So follow me, Divine Prince, on Goodreads. I'm not exactly sure how to do that. The new URL is Goodreads, and a whole bunch of numbers and then my name. So I'm not going to go through that with you. I don't know if there's a personalized URL.
You should be able to search Divine Prince.
But you should be able to search the Divine Goodreads. And there are a great deal of books. Yeah. Crystals, religion, herbs, Malcolm X, Margaret Garvey, history, you know, a French journal that I'm actually in called Vestoj, V like Victor, ESTOJ, issue number 7 on masculinities. It's a whole journal of sartorial matters as it relates to masculinities. And we talk about my perception of masculinity, how I identify with masculinity, both inward and outwardly, about dress and attire. It's a very interesting manual, and it's on my Goodreads shelf. But that would be a great place to start. Him downstairs, beloved, if you're asking me specifically about books that you might want to look at. Let's see. Yes. Ayahuasca is very controversial. You said it better than I did. People are there for the trip.
Yeah.
I kind of didn't want to say that. I just said, you know, they come back with all these enlightening experiences from the moment, but I don't see it manifesting in their lives. And so, yeah.
I can tell you one thing. I don't know what it was that I do follow Mr. Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson, I know he did some type of, I don't think it was ayahuasca, but I think it was the poison from that toad that is down in Central America that opens you up your third eye and gives you that type of similar experience. But I've seen him. There's been some changes in him in terms of his demonstration, but him being such an extreme athletic, physical nature and discipline, coming from that discipline and so strong in what he was and what he did in his professional career, to be able to come into something that was so powerful as that type of experience that he has, and he's demonstrating now. He's become more soft around the edges. He's become more vulnerable in his emotion, and it's amazing for me to see that from him, because I know that had an effect on him, that experience he did. So I know it does have an effect, but you have to be prepared for it. And it's not, if it can change a man like that, that's so strong like Mike Tyson, and make him more of a more human in a sense, in emotion and expression and in demonstration. You can't just jump into that with no mindset at all and just think that you're going to come out okay. That's no way that you will survive.
But in my opinion, even through the dark times, when I go back to who Mike Tyson was as a child, troubled background,
he went through a lot
similar to mine, and his relationship with the pigeons, and his relationship with his what do you call it? His guardian. His father figure, his manager,
his trainer,
I think there was a foundation,
Gus.
There was a foundation of spirit, Might not have been religion, but there was a foundation, I think, that he had that he's now, after that ayahuasca experience, able to pull, you know, for his use.
Betterment, yeah.
Yeah, for his betterment. Many feel they had no foundation to start on at all, and are just looking now anew. So yeah, and I want to respond to Far Eye for Life. Greetings, beloved. In the future, please type your questions in capital letters so I can see it better without having to lean into the into the screen in this way. Far Eye for Life is asking, should a rebellious ancestor be risen through remembrance or recitation of their names in rituals? I have a family member, most curse, but when I see them in a dream, a blessing comes. Um, we placate Gede. Gede is a Haitian voodoo word. The concept and even the word usage to some degree has made its way into Louisiana, New Orleans, and Louisiana culture. We placate the dead. We feed them on the ground. We place a plate, place cup. We feed them, give them rest, give them a good future, send them on sometimes into the light to move them into a better place, but we don't necessarily call them or invoke them. Gede shows up uninvited, always shows up uninvited. So I would keep a very detailed journal. I can't stress that enough. I would keep a very detailed journal of that experience. Those dreams. Over time, you'll see patterns. You'll better be able to interpret
The story.
the messages.
Yeah.
But I would not invoke them. I would not call them. I would not create ritual, ceremony, etc. In the guise that I'm going to call them down to do. It sounds based on your wording like they're doing without your having to sort of ask for it. So receive that. Be thankful. Be grateful. Be meditative for the involvement, intervention, yeah, of your ancestors, if that's indeed what's happening. But test it. Don't invite it. Listen, but don't invite it.
Yeah.
I invoke.
That's an Indian.
Yeah, that was an Indian singing out in front of my house. Technically, I should have went out to see who it was, but I didn't want to break my rhythm in the show. That's why we both stopped and paused. There's an Indian chanting outside, and it's carnival time outside our house. And so Spy Boy and Wild Man had to be on the lookout for any kind of danger or shenanigans. Okay. So yes, Far Eye for Life. Beloved, I hope I answered and responded to your question. And if not, hit me up again. I'll address it. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Him downstairs. I invoke Rebel Ancestor Saint Milo every June 19th. I don't acknowledge Juneteenth, but on June 19th in New Orleans, around the same time period, Saint Milo, who was a Maroon leader here in the New Orleans area, along with several others, was beheaded in Jackson Square, right down there now where those psychic card readers are. And so on June 19th, I do a ceremony there every year to placate, to acknowledge the spirit of Saint Milo. One year, we had a guest, unplanned, very negative energy, very aggressive energy, who invoked Saint Milo by provoking him. And I channeled Saint Milo. Without going into a great detail, there was blood spilt. Everybody in white had blood on them. It wasn't a cute affair. So No, you don't want to invite them, invoke them. A trained practitioner can use them in battle, can use them in war, can send, project that energy somewhere else. Uh, but only the most qualified should even do that, because you can't do that without invoking the spirit. One of the words that you used that I found interesting was remembrance. I don't find any harm, far I for life, in remembrance. In fact, remembrance is an important component to meditation, because sometimes through consistent meditation, you'll begin to have remembrance. Past life, past experiences, childhood experiences, whatever that might be. So remembrance is not inherently dangerous, but invoking them, you can recite their name in peace. You can recite their name in rest. I wouldn't incite their name to sort of draw them out. I wouldn't provoke them to activity. Help me out, Kiona. Am I in order? Did I miss Supreme Divinity, or did I cover her already?
Yeah.
Okay, Supreme Divinity is asking, can you explain the correspondence between the 7 major chakras in deities? I can. I don't know how easy it'll be, but I'll try. First, it depends on which deities we're talking. Yoruba, Eve, Akan, Fan, and what is their place? What is their position? What is their job, if you will? Then we would look at their element. Are they earth? Because your earth energies would be in your first, second, and third chakras. Are they water energy? Will be in your second, third, and fourth chakras. Are they fire energies? Would be in your fourth, fifth, and sixth chakras.
Yeah.
Are they air energy? Will be in your fifth, sixth, seventh chakras. Are they ether, spirit realm? That exists just beyond your seventh chakra. And few books, if any, talk about 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th octave, 24th octave, 36th octave. And I stopped saying chakra and I started using the word octave, because these chakras also have an octave. You could play a musical scale from your base chakra to your 7th chakra. It's an octave. So the deity would have to correspond with the octave in which you are addressing. Also, you would look at deities like taskmasters. So am I purging something? Fire. Am I grounding something? Earth. Am I imagining, creating, and recreating something? Air. Am I cleansing, purging something? Water. And then look at the deity, which would correspond with that task, and then also with that that chakra. Neophyte Bokur tourist asks, can you be initiated by the Loa themselves? There are stories, there are traditions in West Africa. Now you said Loa, that's Haiti. I'm going to take it back to West Africa. That the ancestors can initiate you, give you information, give you downloads. The uses of crystals will greatly encourage that sort of activity, downloads of information and understanding. But again, you will not know and understand the inner workings of initiation without it. Even the spirits in the spirit realm won't break that. That's why the dreams come in symbolism. The Loa won't speak out directly you need to do A, B, and C. You need to turn to the left. You need to turn to the right. You need to present this. They're not going to do that, even in the dream. You might see the banquet table. You might see the white cloth laid and all the attendees and all the people present. You're not going to be able to interpret the details greatly unless, like I said, you're keeping a well-detailed journal and you got a 5-year journal, 10-year journal, 12-year journal, 20-year journal of consistent information that you can tie together and then compare to what you then find out or initiated into or told about what really goes on in that practice. But the idea, neophyte voculturists, that they can initiate is not quite, they can give you information. They can explain things. They can show you things. They can reveal things. But it's a euphemism. It's something that you say, but they're literally in the spirit realm. And so they can't initiate you. There are physical things that also take place in the initiatory process. But you're right in that they will give you information. They will download information. Thank you as well, beloved Far Eye for Life. Help me out, Kiona. Am I in order? My thoughts on Palo, Supreme Divinity. Palo is hot. Palo can be dangerous. Palo translates into stick, but the stick is representative of bone, human bone. So Palo is dangerous. Palo is about ancestral energies, spirits of the dead, and sort of capturing them in a pot. And there's a name for that. And I want to be careful about throwing out words and names because then people will attach themselves to that and pretend like they are initiated into that. So I'm using very common English. Pots. And things are in the pot. Things are incorporated in the pot. Ritual is incorporated into the pot. So the dead is sort of being captured in the pot to do the will of the person who owns and possesses the pot. So I'm not saying Palo is good or bad. I'm saying Palo is hot. Palo is fiery. Palo is not for everybody. Palo is not the social media BS that you see about what people try to make Palo out to be. Palo is ancestral in the West because Palo is Cuban reinvention of something that was a common practice in West Africa. There's a particular ethnic group, the tribe name escapes me right now, that once a year carry the bones of the dead on their head in like a tray or like a tureen, along with several other items. So Palo is about dealing with the dead, capturing the dead, sending the dead on missions, placating the dead, acknowledging the dead. So from a integritist, morality-based, spirit light-based perception, you got to be careful with that. You got to be careful with that. You're inviting really crazy stuff if you're going into that, and your chakras ain't right, and you ain't cleansed your body, and your gut is full of bullshit. I mean, you're really inviting scary stuff. So I don't teach a whole lot about Palo. I don't speak a whole lot about Palo. I let my good friend, oh wow, he broadcast at noon too. Give me a second here. And I hope he's not going to be irritated with me for not remembering his name. Oh wow, he actually came here to New Orleans a few years ago and visit, but he teaches and talks about Palo, and I'll let him have Palo. I don't claim to be master in Palo. I don't claim to hold down Palo, and I let the people who are do that. I don't play around with it. Now, do we have Palo? Yes. um, have we been marked? Yes. Um, is it present in the house? Yes. Um, but again, it's like handling an atomic bomb. I'm not about to do it. I'm not about to go into detail about it. I'm not about to help somebody harm themselves. I'm not about to feed, not you who asked the question,
Yeah.
those who are listening.
Yeah.
I'm not about to help them with that. I would be very careful with it. Very careful with it. I don't know why I can't pull up his email right now. Oh wow. Candelo. Candelo. I'll let Candelo handle Paulo. I got a great deal of respect for Candelo and who he is and what he does, and I'll let him handle it. I can't speak to his Paulo or anybody else's Paulo. Seriously, I can't speak to his Paulo. Um, I'm not in that position to do so. Only the ancestors and the Most High and the elders and teachers within that tradition can speak to it. Um, I don't. I don't know why this is such a chore to get this email to open, but I hope I addressed your question, beloved Supreme Divinity. Am I missing anyone? Because we're going to wrap it up in a few moments. Thank you, Keona. I appreciate that. I really do. I couldn't really do this without your assistance.
Yes, thank you for being here.
Yes, there is Palo Mayombe and Palo Monte, and there are other paths in Palo. Those two are the most common and the most referenced, but it's more. ASMR, help me out with what that means. Priestess. I see you asking about capital letters. What I'm not seeing is your question. Even the spelling of your name makes it hard for me to find you in a crowd. Okay, I got you. No, I see Keona. I will retype it again. I'm still not seeing your question.
Yeah, we can't see your question on our end.
We don't see no question. Not yet.
Oh, hold on. Yes.
I see yes, so true about remembrance from meditation, but I'm not seeing your question. So be patient. Don't think we're trying to be shady. I just don't see it. Yeah, I still don't see it. You need to type that in.
Question. I strongly believe I'm being pulled towards practicing.
Yeah, I need to see that. Where is it? Okay. ASMR priestess. And if you feel like it, can you explain what that means? If you feel like it. I strongly believe I'm being pulled towards practicing Obayifo per my ancestors' request, especially during meditation. How do I even begin so? You need to get first with a legitimate practitioner. You need to be sure that it is in line with your bloodline. And what I mean by that is have your DNA done through any of the most popular sites, Ancestry.com, 23andMe. There are a few new ones that I have not yet done, but I will be doing probably at some point. But make sure that it's your bloodline. Make sure that it's who you are.
Yeah.
And then acquire a practitioner who has the appropriate knowledge and expertise, experience, and titles to operate as an initiator of that tradition, and then step in it. This might sound sort of as cheesy as take 2 aspirin and call me in the morning, but you got to journal. You have to. Anybody who tells me, anybody who suggests I'm being talked to, instructed of, through the ancestors, through the spirits, you got to be documenting that. And forgive me for looking to the left. I'm trying to work email and I'm trying to respond to chat, and keep the show from buffering all at the same time. I appreciate each and every one of you. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for you. You keep the lights on.
Facebook Live too, also.
Yeah,
you guys for being here.
You keep me from starving to death while trying to do this voodoo, and we're grateful, absolutely grateful. Yeah, so that will be the way. Again, you can send me an email if I'm in your spirit and you feel connected to me, and we can talk about that a little bit more.
Black butterfly.
I see you, Supreme Divinity. I beg you to email me first. I beg you to email me like now. Initiation is a long process.
Yeah.
You'll be initiated for at least 1 year if you commit to it. And then there's a ceremony, and usually we have a ceremony April 1st or the first week of April, which we are having the White Festival this year, or Obatala, Dambala. We are having the White Festival April 1st, the White Ritual, the White Ceremony here April 1st. And then I have a ceremony later in the year, like the fall or the winter. So people who are out of town can come and participate in that, as well as people who live in town. We have maybe more frequent rituals, including my alpha that we participate in. So, beloved, Supreme Divinity, email me, beloved. Don't wait till the last minute. Don't wait till a month or whatever you're ready. Email me now. Let's talk about it. Be sure you know what's going to happen. Be sure you know what it entails, and then it'll be a much smoother journey for you.
I think we have one more question. Black butterfly.
I
think it's further up from that school.
Yeah, I don't even see black butterfly. Is it capitalized? Because if it's not capitalized, I'm not going to be able to see it. And I don't like quiet airtime.
There it is.
With us just looking.
How do you know if you're reincarnated? Sometimes I feel like I identify with a certain deity. How do you know? And I know through meditation you can find answers. Sometimes it's hard for me to meditate.
Okay, you said several different questions.
Yeah.
Meditation is a whole separate thing.
We talked about that a little bit earlier.
Yeah,
also.
we talked about it earlier, and we talked about it in the last broadcast. Pay attention to your breathing, learning what circular breathing is and developing that, clearing your mind, understanding your chakras. There's a whole lot that goes into how to get in a position to meditate. Keep a notepad so that when you do have distractions that are important, you can stop, write them down, breathe, and then go back into your meditation again. How do you know you're reincarnate, and how do you know you're identifying with certain deities, and what that means is, again, an extension of really detailed journaling. Mm-hmm. And journaling is a chore. I get that. It means you gotta wake up, don't just jump out of the bed. Some of you don't have a choice because you got spouse, children, other activities going on. Alarm clock, you got to be at work, so you wake up, eyes open, and you immediately to the shower. That's not natural. That's Western. You should, if you're blessed, have the opportunity to wake up naturally. and
Even
just
if it's-
lay there
Yeah, even if it's hours before you have to leave.
and allow yourself to be in the spirit realm.
Yeah.
Yes. And feel and experience, and then journal that. Keep great detailed notes of that. Then at the end of the day, before you lay down, journaling is important because it helps you to eliminate the stuff, what's important, and then what's just static. Then you can get down to meditation at night, clear your mind, and go into the creative space. So I'll be very happy to write that out for you in a more detailed step-by-step way. Just send me an email, beloved, at DivinePrince at houseofthedivineprince.com. Divine Prince, DivinePrince. I know y'all saying, why is he spelling that? Because people be writing Devine all the time, and that's not my name. And I don't get those emails. Divine Prince at houseofthedivineprince.com. And I'd be happy to write that out in a more detailed email and format for you. I do believe that's all the questions. We've done a whole
2 hours.
2 hours. So I greatly appreciate you. Thank you so much for another powerful rendition of Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes, understanding that all is truly and indeed a blessing if you can just see beyond the veils, for it's all just an illusion and a test of one of the greatest divine mysteries of this life cycle. This is my constant prayer, my mantra, my affirmation, my reverberation, my reiteration, and it is my ever-living reality. It's critical to the foundation of my belief, how I live, my walk, my work, my teaching, my demonstration. All is a blessing. It is how I begin and end all my endeavors, understanding that all is truly and indeed a blessing if you can see beyond the veils. Because it's just a test. It's just a test. And a test designed to empower you, not just in this life and in this moment, in this time space, but in the future and in the projected space and in that space that is eternal. For indeed, I am eternal. I am infinite and eternal because my ancestors are, because my creators are. I am because my creators are. All powerful, all knowing, able to do all that I need because my creators can. So be empowered, stand in truth, know that all is truly and indeed a blessing. And I don't care what you do, whatever it is you do, you better respect the voodoo, respect the voodoo, respect the voodoo. Whatever you do.
All is a blessing.